Hello, thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. If we can start with some introductions, telling us the company you work for and your role.
Hi, good. And my name is Bill Elder. I'm an enterprise architect for MTM Inc. MTM is a leader in the non-emergency management transportation market. Glad to be here today.
I'll go next. I'm Ashley McNeil. I'm a technical delivery manager for C Prime. C Prime, we're a global consulting firm that helps transforming businesses get in sync. As a leading agile DevOps and cloud solutions provider, we help business partners like MTM execute implementations and reach their business goals.
Great. And let's start from the beginning. Bill, can you tell us about why you decided to migrate to Atlassian's cloud products?
Sure, I'd love to. So we were basically our user base was using a couple different products in this area. Okay, we did use Jira Server, and we had a user base that was a small user base using that. Then we had another set of users in our DevOps and product team that were using another product. So what we wanted to do is our migration to the cloud was in conjunction with our consolidation effort to get down to one tool. So we could have across our technology organization where that we were using one tool to track this work. That being said, really our choice to migrate to the cloud, it just made sense. Currently we're on Jira Server. When we stepped back and looked at the whole picture and looked at the advantages and disadvantages, we felt like that was going to give us the most flexibility, as well as that consolidation that we could use to grow as needed.
Can you tell us, Bill, and Ashley would love your perspective too, about the decision to work with a solution partner and kind of the kickoff or beginning of the relationship between MTM and C Prime?
As far as our product line, we're pretty mature in our product model development at that point. So we had our process flow down. But what we wanted to do is work with a solution partner such as C Prime to help us take, because we knew it was going to be complex. So we could take this operation, we could do the migration to the cloud, and use best practices that they felt like that would help us as we did that.
Awesome. And this is our Passport to Cloud episode called We Migrated, Now What? So I want to talk about that launch phase of the migration. After the production migration is complete, getting your end users comfortable on cloud, kind of aware of the differences, able to get started quickly. So when you all were planning the migration, how did you go about communicating your plans to migrate, when it would happen to end users?
We designated a small group of core Jira Cloud users that was going to be kind of in our implementation team on our side of MTM. Okay, that small group of users were key technical people, product people, and people that we could use to help us communicate effectively to the overall technology team. So what we did was we had that team. C Prime was a part of that team. What we would have is on our meetings, depending on what topic was being discussed as far as our migration, we'd bring in those members of the team that needed to be in there, whether it was technical or the product. But it was basically a small group. So when we got to the launch phase, we had emails that, we had communication methods that we use internally that we do that as far as our teams and what we're doing there. And we used a broadcast method where, hey, this is going to happen. We're cutting over this weekend. And I had, to that point of the product for the cloud, I had different orientation sessions of people just, hey, what's the difference between Jira Cloud and Jira Server? If they have been on Jira Server, what are they going to see differently? What are we looking at? If they were a new user, they were using our previous product because we had a whole group of that. Well, what could they expect? So we had some pre-orientation sessions where people could kind of come in and ask them and ask the questions of, hey, what does this look like? So kind of different ways to prepare. And C Prime was right there with us the whole way. What they did well was, depending on the subject, like I said, the subject that we were going to talk, that we were discussing on our side, they brought in their expert. If it was their technical person that we needed help with, or if it was somebody from a product on how to match up a template on how we were going to use, what was the best practice. So that helped us in the launch.
Can you tell us about the day of the actual production migration, or the few days, the weekend? What happened kind of that first day right after you set your instances to read only? Was there any early feedback from the team about that first day and about the switch?
Yeah, so what we did there, it was that final, what we called, production migration. Okay, it happened over a weekend. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we planned it such that it gave us from the whole weekend to do the final prep for that final migration of data, for us to validate that. We used that core group of technical team. We had a Sunday evening, and C-Prime technical person was right there with us, trying to figure out, hey, okay, everything is ready to go. And people knew from our communication methods when they came in Monday morning that was we were at a go live. Today, when we say that initial launch, when you say, hey, we're, that launch, we had those key people, that small group were on alert, and they knew if they couldn't get a hold of myself as the enterprise architect, what was going on, we had key people in the organization that they could get in touch with to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. What do I need to do?
And did most of that feedback, either delivering feedback to you or to other members of your team, did that happen on email, on Slack? Can you tell us about just any feedback channels or communication channels you all set up to capture questions or concerns?
Yeah, we had a messaging team that we had, our internal communication system that we used it. Then we, of course, email, we used it also. But, and then it's pick up the phone too. Somebody wants to get a hold of us. It's like, hey, let's get this done. We know it's important. So that's why we spread that initial out, And again, our C Prime technical person that helped us with the migration over the weekend, they were on alert too. So I was giving them feedback first thing Monday morning. Hey, this is what we're seeing. Everything's looking okay. This is something that's come up. How do we navigate it? So it was good. And then we had, after that, we had a couple briefs, like debriefs. I said it, in the Jira Cloud itself, we set up a Jira Cloud knowledge base. So what it was it had some material that C Prime had developed for us. It had stuff that we had done internally, like how they were going to get invited to the MTM Jira Cloud. What was going to be. So there was this Jira Cloud knowledge base that we used where somebody could go right to there, and it's like, hey, this is what we're going to see. Today, we've set up a Jira community of practice. Again, being able to take technical members, product members, people that are not even in our technology team that are starting to use Jira now, because we've expanded it. We've expanded the Jira Cloud use outside of our technology organization to where stakeholders are using it. We're using it in our business implementation group, in our training group. So those areas that we still use it. We still use these initial products that I used at launch are still some of the same tools that I use when I bring on a new set of users today.
Again, I think Bill did an excellent job, and that the approach that they took with kind of building that JIRA community of practice, having a group of stakeholders that or your power users who can train everybody else, and be that kind of resource, so it's not just one kind of feedback or just channel. In terms of getting issues to us, we were communicating kind of regularly throughout the migration, as well as post-migration. Additionally, again, I think Bill's team implemented what we would consider to be best practices, in addressing those post-migration issues, empowering other users to really kind of help everybody along.
And what do the end users in your teams, Bill, have to say about working in cloud now that the migration is complete?
I think they like the flexibility to it the most. I think it's something, today we have our product model with our product teams. We're in there, that product group's in there all the time. The DevOps team is in there. We're running our sprints, of course, off of it. People are running Kanban boards off of it and on business implementation. So, the feedback I got is the feedback I constantly get is you can do so much with it. Sometimes that's overwhelming and you got to step back. And again, maybe you got to do a little research. Maybe you got to talk to that power user. It's been positive feedback, throughout. And again, I think that's a real help from C-Prime. They gave us a model. They understood the dates we had to hit. And they understood that we weren't a typical migration. I mean, we weren't just using Jira Cloud for the first time greenfield. We had a wide range of users that had been using different things that were currently using Jira products. So they understood that. And I think that's what helped the flexibility.
And if you could describe your cloud migration journey in one or a few words, what would it be?
Educational. I think I learned a lot during this. I think everybody involved learned quite a bit as we went through there. It was, very educational.
And follow up to that, Bill, this one's probably for you. If you could describe working in cloud in one word or a few words, what would they be?
I think it's flexibility again. Like I talked before. I have to say the flexibility to do your job how you need to do it. We try to have standards, that we have standards across groups, across templates, but the strength to this is the flexibility that you can use with your team.
Ashley, what would your advice or guidance be about making that partnership with the solution partner work well?
It's all about communication and just being transparent about what you're trying to do. What are your goals in moving to cloud? Just letting us know what's important to you and what your business drivers are, and then we can help. We can put together a plan. We can tell you what has worked well for in our experience, and just being open, and just again, communication is key.
Great. And we will close with this. What advice would you both give to customers who are either thinking about migrating to cloud or who are in the midst of a cloud migration?
I think really with that, you plan, and you understand the different segments of what you're going to do. But it all comes down to planning. I mean, we created a very flexible plan that had pieces that we knew that we along the way, but we understood our end goal, and we understood the dates that we needed to have it, and we understood who our customer was at M2M, who was going to use it, and so planning, testing, and executing, it all comes down to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. We need to, as you're contemplating migration, or if you're in the throes of migration, just some things that you want to think about is one is your communication plan to end users, and build that in. Start at the very beginning, thinking about how you're going to help those folks make the transition to cloud. Two, you want to make sure that you have kind of a full assessment of the difference between the platform you're on and cloud, because there are some things that you have to work through and you have to mitigate. So, and that is key in terms of making sure that you test your migration, and you do you bring users in, you bring groups in, a diverse group, to make sure that the data looks as you expect and is ready for prime time once the decision to go live is made. Last but not least, it's just trying to work through some of the items in terms of integrations. Like, for example, if you're leveraging a product like Atlassian Access, you want to bring your infrastructure team in, or your AD management team in, and really talk through kind of the best practices and getting that set up so that transition from server to cloud is seamless for your users. And then last but not least, be prepared to be a little bit flexible. There are some, again, some challenges when you move platforms, and there's just things you just got to work out. But again, hopefully you've got a good partner in your corner that can help guide you and get you where you need to go.